Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for the latest episode of the QM podcast. And I'd like to introduce Fiona Whittle. So, Fiona, you've had quite a lifetime at QM. I think it's probably fair to say, talk us through your QM story.
Yeah, so I've been here for over 25 years now. I've completed the girls and I started here last century, which sounds quite dramatic. But came as full-time teacher of PE. And then within probably about 4 or 5 years, was asked to help out a little bit in the geography department. And so initially we're 1 year group, and that quickly grew into 2, 3, 4.
And geography is yours.
So yes, trade, there's PE and geography combined. So yeah, and now my timetable, probably for about the last 6, 7 years, has been 50% geography and 50% sport, which I really enjoy, the diversity.
And you're quite modest because you do wear multiple hats as well.
So Head of Enrichment, within that is Educational Visits Coordinator, which looks after all the trips that go out of school. So all the educational trips, I have kind of oversight of all of the planning for that. Done life-saving, lifeguarding to our sixth form girls. Just tutored a couple of members of staff through their first aid at work qualification. So yeah.
Multiple hats, multi-talented. And I'm on the original side, actually, because that's such an important part of life at QM. How do you pull that together? Talk us through the different strands of enrichment and what it brings to life at QM?
It's such an important part of any school, but particularly a school such as ours. The willing body of staff to offer things outside of the classroom, whether that's music, which is just phenomenal, and obviously drama and a wonderful theatre, sport, but then really beyond that, say things like gardening club and debating, and we've had book clubs and science clubs, and I hope there's something for absolutely everybody to get their teeth stuck into.
Absolutely.
Some of them run at lunchtime, many of them running after school, hopefully something.
We talk a lot about self-belief. Have you got any particular stories of that?
Gosh, I think being here for as many years as I have, it's just really interesting to sort of watch those girls from potentially very timid, very reserved year one girls to then commanding the stage or putting themselves forward to be a sports captain and running a team. I think enrichment offers girls that strand that maybe they don't always get quite so discreetly in their academic subjects. There's the ability to work together as a team, not just on the sports pitch, but even things like our chamber choir coming together to make that phenomenal sound.
Do you have any, from your 25 years, what are the particular memories that stuck with you?
Gosh, I think the hats that I wear in school, I think a lot of the trips that we run, whether that sports tours, when the school was 100 years old, actually, so 2001, we went on a sports tour to Australia and New Zealand for 3 weeks, which was 5 members of staff, 40 girls. And I think that was a particular highlight. But then more recently, being involved in the geography department are 2 trips to Iceland. Just, somewhere I'd always wanted to go, and just a beautiful country. So high recommend.
Yeah, and in terms of what you see with the girls on trips, again, that's another strand to what builds their development.
I think so. We see them in a slightly different light, particularly on a residential trip. And I think it's equally important for them to see us in a slightly different light as well, having fun. So I think I think that's really, really important and really valuable. But yes, it's something I really enjoy being part of, for sure.
And often those are the memories. When they then look back, those are the things they do remember. And sports here, so obviously you're very involved in the sports life. Running around every Saturday afternoon in fixtures. Again, that you talked about teamwork. What strikes me here is at QM is the culture of participation. The girls are willingly getting involved, and they'll be out on the hockey pitch. I remember a day last term where they were singing at chapel while they were there to a hockey match, and then they were into the stage to be in Little Women of the Evening. I was the same girls in all three activities. What do you think builds that culture of participation? Because it is a willing participation.
We're a small, safe, nurturing environment for girls to just have a go. I think and think one of the things that we do particularly well is celebrating that for each other, when that's in assembly or with our sort of house points and house competition. Yeah, it's just girls being free to have a go and maybe not be successful immediately, but that's okay, and actually to have fun trying. And that supportive environment with their peers, the teachers, the boarding staff, everybody willing though to do their best. So that's absolutely just
I remember that first week, the year ones, about half of them had auditioned for the whole school drama production in that first week. And there's something in the school that enables them to feel comfortable doing that. And I want to turn to, you inspired me earlier this year at your assembly about all of your volunteering at particular sports events. And I think that's when I kind of seized you for this podcast with that idea. And it was inspiring to hear you talk, and indeed the girls model your various different outfits that you had worn as part of those volunteering opportunities. But if you could share what you shared with the girls at that point, because I think it was inspiring.
Yeah, I think somebody who's been involved in sport throughout my school career, predominantly in swimming, when an opportunity came up to give back to the sport that I loved through English School Swimming Association. So I was one of their volunteers at a couple of events, then became a member of National Council for a number of years. And that then just evolved through their involvement with British swimming. So I've been really lucky. I've done 3 Commonwealth Games, starting in Manchester, 2002. World Championships, World Para Championships, European Championships. And I think probably the highlight was London Olympics.
It still seems just like yesterday.
Just the buzz. Just again, it's kind of what we said earlier. Just being able to work with a team of people from around the world, actually, particularly those big international events. An awful lot happens behind the scenes to what you see on the TV, and just have an insight and to play a small part in that, was just hugely rewarding. And that I just robbed into being involved in the World Cycling Championships when they were with Harrogate. Part of the Tour de France when that was in Yorkshire. So I keep my summers fairly busy. So
And if you're behind the scenes, do you get to see any of the sporting action, or there are particular moments where you have had those particular special celebrity moments?
So one event I was part of, the athlete kit team. So when the swimmers take their tracksuits off, they magically disappear behind the scenes, and to literally be as close as we are to Michael Phelps, literally walking past to collect his kit 5 or 6 times in an afternoon, was rather good, rather fun. And one event I was actually on poolside, so again got to watch the events. We weren't allowed to cheer. We had to be sort of neutral, and that was quite hard. So particularly when GB were doing particularly well, not to get excited. But yeah, that was lots and lots of fun. But yeah, definitely something I'd recommend if people get the opportunity.
And now, and I know you've spoken to the girls about this. So now to get a sense of service, it's a two-way process. What you get out of volunteering, I know you were trying to encourage. Well, what's your next?
So potential. We Glasgow's hosting 2026 Commonwealth Games. So who knows? I believe applications are later on this year. So watch this space.
Well, it definitely isn't. It's good to hear you, and then to see as you brought it to life with all the different colours and the different styles over the years. And I think it highlights what you got out of it, but also what you go back to. A sport you love. Looking forward to being in the national schools this weekend, and across. There's fewer and fewer schools which play lacrosse. It's a shame because that was more.
That's a big highlight of the year for our team. So
And just to be part of that experience. I was speaking to a parent the other day who said it's a long way to go, but just to experience that is amazing. The York Minster, the choir in the evening song the other day. Again, girls may not realise it, might not when they look back. Yeah, they absolutely will.
And I think that's essential. That spirit of encouragement you get to witness a QM Sports Day.
Indeed.
And I think that's a year of fun. So girls will be struggling on that the last couple of 100 metres on the 1,500 metres, and the whole school just rallies around and cheers them over the line, and think, that's really special. It's that encouraging atmosphere.
In your 25 years at Queen Margaret's, have you noticed, how has it evolved? Of course, schools have evolved, but what has stayed core?
I think the fact that we know everybody's an individual, it's just so special. The fact that we can tailor a timetable, or we can, additional support if needed, or stretching an individual to play up in the year grade. When I speak to friends who are teachers in other schools, much, much larger than us, there's some of the students almost are anonymous. We don't have that. Even girls that you don't teach in the classroom every day, you know who they are, you know what their strengths are. And I think that's something that it's really, really special. And that's why you stayed. Yes. I think, there's no place to hide, which for some girls might feel a little bit threatening initially. But again, that's that nurturing and supportive atmosphere that actually everybody can be themselves.
I remember speaking to a fifth-year girl who got to just play with the first-year member, and that was such a big deal for her. But she got so proud of herself I hadn't done it. And in a bigger school, your year group is your bubble. Whereas here, it's what is the right level, and that it will work. So I've got one more question. This is the question I like to ask at the end. Desert Island disc style. Jumping straight to the end, what would be the disc that you would have on your desert island?
I think probably as somebody who was at secondary school in the 80s, probably a That was my go-to album on repeat on my Walkman on many holidays. I think probably Take On Me by a
Brilliant. And we ought to have it playing. It's always playing out. But thank you. It's always a nice note to end. You get the insight into different renders of QN community and different musical clips. So thank you very much, Fiona.
All right.